Hi there, welcome. I'm Pamela and we're in my kitchen where I share with you some of my favorite recipes or those most requested by friends and family. Today we're going to be making a healthy Mediterranean quinoa salad. Now if you've decided that you don't care for quinoa, stick with me. I'm going to show you how to prepare it so that it is delicious. Now I always buy it in a bag like this. You can buy it in bulk. Quinoa comes in white, red, or black, or tricolor, where they've mixed them all together. And the directions on the back, I do not always follow closely because one of the problems with quinoa, if you've put too much water, and sometimes the directions on the back, even when you follow that, I think it's a little bit too much water, and it becomes kind of gummy, kind of like the consistency of oatmeal. And you don't want your quinoa to be glommy like oatmeal. You want it to be loose and fluffy. Now the other thing that you want to do when you are cooking quinoa is you absolutely must rinse it well under cold running water before you cook it. Quinoa has a natural chemical on it called saponin, and it's bitter. And if you don't rinse it off, it doesn't taste good. And that may be why, if you don't care for quinoa, that you didn't like it, because it didn't get rinsed properly. Some bags will say pre-rinsed. Even when they say that, I rinse them. And just put them in a fine mesh colander and rinse it under cold water, and then put it in your saucepan. And if I used a cup of quinoa and it made this much, to about a cup and 3/4, maybe a tablespoon more of water. You're going to put it in your saucepan, the rinsed quinoa. You're going to add your water. You can add some salt if you like, or a little bit of bouillon. And you're going to cook it in an open saucepan for, it depends on how much quinoa you're cooking, could be 10-15 minutes, until the water is gone. And when you see that the water has dissipated from the bottom of the pan, pull it off the heat, put a lid on for 5 minutes and let it sit and steam. And then just remove the lid and fluff it up and let it sit to room temperature. We do not want to make our salad until our quinoa is at room temperature. So let me tell you about quinoa before we get started. Now, and if you decide that you absolutely don't like quinoa, you can certainly use orzo, which is a pasta. It's a little rice grain shaped pasta. But quinoa is so much more nutritious for you than pasta. Quinoa is gluten-free. It is high in fiber, high in protein, high in antioxidants, vitamins and minerals, and it is just a superfood. And it's really not a grain. I think a lot of people think it's a grain. It's actually a seed. So if you don't do grains for some reason, this may work for you. But anyway, let's get started. I have pre-chopped most of my ingredients. And like I said, my quinoa has been cooked and cooled to room temperature. And I've got this nice fluffy consistency. So we've got chopped cucumber. And I've got a cup to a cup and a half of just about everything here. But again, I will add the recipe beneath the video. You can always find the amounts listed there. So I'm going to add my cucumber, and I'm just going to guess at what I want right now, and then I can add more at the end. I have chopped tomatoes. These are cherry tomatoes. I've quartered them. I've even taken out some of the seeds. Sometimes you cut into a cherry tomato and it's real seedy, and they might even be green and not too appealing. So you can just squeeze those out. Let me tell you what else. Sun-dried tomatoes are delicious in this, but drain them, get the oil, most of the oil off of them, and then chop them. So they're just in little bits. You don't want long strips. But I'm going to add some tomatoes. And then I've got yellow peppers. I like to buy the bag of organic multicolored peppers rather than one large pepper. And I put them in salads a lot, and I can just get nice little rings. So this is what I diced up today, but you can buy one pepper. I like to use the yellow or maybe the orange because I've already got red tomatoes. So just looking at your colors and, you know, getting a nice combination. So I'm going to add some pepper. Now I like to use red onion. You could use green onion if you don't care for red onion. You could actually do both, but I like the red onion. I like the color, and I've already got some green. And of course, these ingredients are to taste. So if you don't like a lot of onion, you don't have to add a cup of onion. But I would highly recommend adding some onion of some sort. This is Kalamata olives. These are sliced. If you're not a fan of Kalamata olives, you can use regular black olives. But I think these are delicious and more authentic to our Mediterranean salad. Now, this is diced artichoke hearts. These are marinated. They don't have to be marinated. They can just be in a can in some water or a jar, but these happen to be jarred, marinated, and I diced up the heart, the part that's the heart, and most of the leaves. Sometimes when you get to the end, the leaves are a little chewy, and I just toss those. So I'm going to add some of these. And if there's any of these ingredients you don't like, you certainly can leave them out. And then this is chopped curly leaf parsley. I happen to like the flavor of curly leaf parsley better than flat leaf for this recipe. It's a little more mild. So I'm going to add quite a bit of this, a good half a cup. So I'm just going to stir this in. Makes a really colorful salad. I make this when we take a day and go to the coast, or we have a picnic or a barbecue. It's a good side dish for a lot of things. Now, the seasoning that you put in it is entirely up to you. Definitely add some fresh ground black pepper. And I like to add quite a bit. I don't add salt because the Kalamata olives are very salty, and I'm also going to add some Greek feta, and that is salty. But if you don't end up adding those ingredients, you might want to add a little bit of salt. Also some fresh dill. Now I have very often used dry dill and it works just fine. The flavor's great, but I have fresh here, so I'm going to use it. Be sure that you mince it very small and don't use the stems. Now, if you're not a fan of dill, dried oregano or fresh oregano or basil is also good in this Mediterranean salad. I personally don't like to mix my spices when I'm doing this. I like one or the other, but not a mixture of. But that's entirely up to you. And like I said, dried dill works just fine. So this is a good couple tablespoons. I'm just going to stir this in. And now I can evaluate whether I want to add more of something. But I think this looks like a good ratio of quinoa to vegetables. Now, I've got it all mixed together, minus the feta. I'm going to add feta. Now, I like to buy authentic Greek feta. It's sheep milk. It's not cow's milk. It usually comes in a brine, which this one does. There's 2 blocks, and I just put it in on a paper towel and get the water out of it. And I know some people don't like feta, but we love it, and it adds a lot to the salad. Just crumble it. Not too fine. You want to have some pieces in there that you can actually bite into. And I'm going to use about 1/2 of a block of this today. Sometimes I add a whole block. That is a 10-ounce container, so a whole block would be about 5 ounces, if you're wondering the amount. Of course, I'm going to write it on the recipe, so don't worry about it. But I'm just going to put this back in the brine, clean off my hands. Now we need a dressing. A 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but you really don't want to saturate your salad with dressing. You just want to coat everything. We don't want a pool of dressing sitting at the bottom of our bowl. So I'm going to add my olive oil. Now you can add a little, this is a 1/4 cup, 1/4 a cup, and of course it depends on how many vegetables you put in, how much quinoa you're using. You might need more. So, you know, that's understandable to add more if you've got more of everything else. Now I'm going to add red wine vinegar. I like to add about 1/3 cup of this for this recipe and this amount. And just stir it up and coat everything. Another nice addition to this salad is avocado. Don't use an avocado that's too mushy. Get one that's just ripe. And dice it up right before you serve the salad if you're going to use avocado. So I've just mixed this up, and I'm going to put it in my refrigerator for at least 30 minutes and just let the flavors marinate and chill it. And then you can serve this with just about anything. You've got your protein here, so it's a complete meal. Quinoa has all 9 amino acids. It's a complete protein, so this would be a meal in itself. You could serve it, which I often do, over a bed of arugula. I pack it in a container and I cook some teriyaki chicken and some fruit, and we take it on a picnic. But anyway, it's just a great salad. I hope you enjoy it. And if you're looking for some other non-sweet but savory videos that would recipes that would be good to take on a picnic or an outing, I've got cowboy caviar and bruschetta in my video lineup if you want to check those out. I appreciate you watching today. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.